Hey everyone, welcome to part 23 of this Dark Urge Tactician mode guide for Baldur's Gate 3. We are in camp in the lower city. We just finished our date with Karlach, and now in this video what I want to do is to clear out the Iron Throne, saving Duke Ravengard, as well as take out the Steelwatch Foundry, which makes things significantly easier when we have to get rid of Gortash soon. So let's start off by heading across camp. We want to go and add Will to our party. He is pretty important for some of the lore and everything in this area. So we're going to go ahead and get him, and then we're going to take him to that Iron Throne to save his father. So we're going over here, we're just adding him to the team. He's eligible to level up, but we're not going to do that just yet. After one more battle, then everyone on the team will be able to level up, so I'm just going to save it for that and just do it all at once. So now that Will's on our team, what we're going to do is head up and we're going to take a long rest. That will trigger another Dark Urge specific cutscene while we sleep, because things always tend to get a little bit freaky at night with the Dark Urge. So let's use some supplies and start that cutscene.
Night's troubled rest is, as ever, overwhelmed by your killing fate. You dangle above a dark precipice, one move away from falling. Another watches your body while it is possessed by the night. You do not dream alone.
Dark dreams? I think I can guess. Visions of blood on your hands. The blood in your veins, perhaps. For all the gifts Baal's children inherit, a peaceful night's sleep is not among them.
What are you doing, Jaheira?
The dreams alone do not concern me. It is what waking deeds they might inspire. Are you truly your own master? What is it you feel when Father's dreams come calling?
It's sickening. I never asked for this power and hope to be rid of it.
There is one certain way. I hold it in my hand. This is your father's true legacy. Not his children, but the fear they plant in us. The savagery it blossoms into. In another time, with another of your kind, we found a better way. I would dearly like to find it again.
Tell me what I must do.
You would not be the first to turn the taint in your blood to your advantage. But there are barriers a Baal spawn must overcome first. Those of your kind. Orin. I am sure you already know that so long as she lives, she will never stop hunting you. It might be that you have to turn and face her. You cannot change that. All you can choose is how you meet her. As another bloodied child of Baal? Or as yourself? All I can offer is the promise that, should you choose to do so, you will not meet her alone. For now, take what rest you can. I will watch over you this night.
Thank you for everything.
Sleep well.
No more dreams await you in sleep this night. Only the warm knowledge that indeed you are not alone.
After that rest, we're going to fast travel over to the Basilisk Gate right at the entrance to the lower city. Now that we're here, let's start heading over toward the west. We've got kind of a long way to run, but as we do, we're going to be interrupted by someone who will want to initially fight us, especially if we have Will in our party. Lucky for us, though, we don't have to fight them, we can just talk our way through it. It is perfectly fair to fight them if you want some extra experience, but on Tactician mode, I prefer to talk my way through as many situations as possible if it gets me to the same outcome. So as we run forward, then the Emperor will talk to you about his old hideout in the Elfsong Tavern. About that time, turn left and start heading down, and this is about the time that you should be interrupted.
Will Ravengard, the stain of Baldur's Gate. To think your father's blood flows through those damnable veins.
Cordular Eltan? By the nine hells, what are you on about?
Lady Mazora told me everything. How you slaughtered your own father. How you crave his power. How you mean to make the city bow to you and you alone.
That meddling ghoul. Eltan,
Shut it! My family's duty is to Baldur's Gate. I won't have the Hell's Errand Boy poison my city!
Persuasion. I believe Ravengard's still alive, and I intend to save him. This gives us a skill check of 18, so let's roll that one and then keep going. This is a pretty long cutscene that we don't really have to watch. It just has a lot of lore surrounding the worm or the dragon underneath Baldur's Gate. So instead I'm going to skip to the end when we say, "Your faith and will is well founded. We will seek the worm and ask for its help."
Thank you. In darkness, I see your light.
Alright, with that all done, then Will does want to talk to us. You can see his exclamation mark above his head. We also got an item called the Legend of Ansur. I'm going to talk to Will real quick just to clear that off of him and then go into my inventory where we do have that book and we want to go and read it. That will just advance the quest a little bit further. So read the book and then you'll see that your journal gets updated and there is in fact a dragon named Ansur sleeping underneath Worm's Rock Prison. We're going to check that out in a future part, but for now, let's continue heading on toward the west. We're going to go down by this big fountain over here, and we're actually going to run past it because there's a waypoint just on the other side of it that we want to unlock. We'll be using that to come back here in a little while. So once we discover the waypoint, let's go back the other direction, and we're going to turn and start heading toward the south. If you're a little bit too far toward the right on this, there is a cutscene with one of Karlach's friends, who's a vendor there. We don't have to talk to her right now if we don't want to, so we're just going to skip it, and then we're going to continue down the path over toward the right. So let's go by this big archway and continue through it as we head toward the west. Let's run all the way down this street, and then when we get to the end, it turns a little bit toward the left. We'll go past the stairs on our right side, and then when we're past those, turn a little bit toward the right. Now, on your left-hand side, there's going to be a little bit of a break in the wall right by this tree. Turn here, and then go down the stairs immediately to your right. We're going to keep going down, and then when we get to the bottom part, there's going to be another staircase leading toward the left. Let's go down those stairs and all the way to the end of this little walkway. When we get to the very end, we're going to have everyone crouch down and hide because we're going to open up this door. There's a couple ways to do it. You can either lockpick it. It does have a skill check of 20, or you can just have Gale use the knock spell to open it up very easily. So this does have a skill check of 20. It makes it a little bit difficult. Feel free to save the game if you want to go through this method, and then you can open it up. And when you're done lockpicking it, then open up the door. There is a chance that the monsters inside won't see you. That's why we were trying to sneak at the beginning, but they did see me. That's alright though. We can still take them out even before they have a chance to attack. So starting off with the Dark Urge, I'm going to use a sneak attack range to attack the first target just inside the door here. This is Ripper. I got kind of lucky and got a critical hit there, so he's down low on health. I don't really need to attack him again, so instead I'm going to use my offhand range attack to attack one of the other ones over here, like Gristle. So I'll hit him. I got another critical hit, so that's really good for me. And then I'm just going to have the Dark Urge move out of the way. Now I'm going to have Karlach take her turn. She's going to run forward and actually into the building a little bit. You've got to be careful though, because you don't want to get too close when you're throwing her weapon. If you're within 6 meters, you're going to take extra damage. So I'm going to just put her over to the side here, and then she's going to frenzy so that I get that extra enraged throw. And now I'm going to throw the new Nyralna weapon over here toward the side, and that's going to attack Cuddleface, and it's going to do a lot of damage to him as well as the other animals nearby. And now I have 2 more normal throws that I can use. I'll throw the same weapon over, and I'm going to hit Gristle right here. That's going to hit him as well as the other monster in the back. So Gristle's dead. The other Ripper nearby is very low on health. I don't want to finish him off yet. I'm going to let Gale take care of that one. And then I'm going to use my final throw to attack the guy way over here. This is Snarl. And when I hit him, then it's going to do lots of damage to him, also hurting all the other monsters in that back row. And now I can have Karlach retreat out of there. Now it's just up to Gale to finish off the already weakened monsters. So I'm just going to have him step forward a couple feet, and then he's going to use a level 1 magic missile. I just have to tag this guy for a guaranteed kill. Now let's look at the back row. This guy still has a lot of health, but Snarl over here doesn't have much. I'll tag him once and put the other two into Snap, and just like that, they're all going to be dead. So I killed all of them without them having a single chance to attack, and now everyone has enough experience in order to level up. So let's go ahead and do that. Starting off with the Dark Urge, we now have a level 5 monk, and this is really good because we get an extra attack now, which is very nice, as well as Stunning Strike melee and unarmed, and Cloak of Shadows so that we can turn invisible as long as we're obscured. And it doesn't even have a cooldown between a short rest or a long rest. We can do it as long as we're in shadow, which makes it very good for our stealth build. And now we have Karlach. She is the most multi-classed of all of our characters. She started as a barbarian, then she went to rogue, and now she's going to go over to fighter, and we're going to give her the last couple levels in fighter, and that will give us some really nice advantages. Starting off with her fighting class, I'm going to go with protection, and that way, because we're using a shield, then enemies who attack our allies nearby will have a disadvantage. So that just makes her a better support character, kind of on the back row. Now it's Gale's turn. I'm keeping him as a level 10 wizard, and he gets empowered evocation. Your grasp of evocation magic has tightened, and you can add your intelligence modifier to damage rolls with evocation spells, and magic missile is an evocation spell. For the cantrip, I'm going with shocking grasp, and then we're also going to get 2 new spells. I'm grabbing dimension door as well as hold monster. Those are really nice, and we're going to use dimension door in just a minute, so make sure that you grab that one before you go down into the Iron Throne. And hold monster is nice just to guarantee some critical hits. So make sure that you actually do put dimension door onto your prepared spell list, and then we're going to lock that in and keep on going. Now that we're all done with Gale, let's move on to the final member of our party, and that's going to be Will. He is still a level 9 Warlock because we didn't level him up already. He does gain a new passive and a new spell. As for the new spell, we've got a couple choices. Practically, for something coming up, you could go with Remove Curse, but I'm going to teach him Fear instead because it's a very powerful status effect that we can inflict on enemies. Also, for the Eldritch Invocation, I'm going to give him Book of Ancient Secrets so that he can cast Rave Sickness, Chromatic Orb, and Silence, and we can use those once per long rest without having to use any of our Warlock spell slots. And now that he's a level 10 Warlock, he gets a new cantrip as well as Fiendish Resistance and a new spell. Fiendish Resistance allows us to choose a damage type and become resistant to it, and we get to choose one every short rest. And then for the cantrip, I'm going to go with Poison Spray just because it's a good damaging ability. If you want a very powerful new spell, go with Flame Strike. It has the ability to do tons of damage to enemies, but if you wanted to go more practical for what's coming up, then you could still go with Remove Curse or pick up Frightened, something like that. Depends on how you really want to use Will. Do you want him to be more of a support or more of an attacker? The choice is yours there. It doesn't really matter. So now that that's all done, let's go into the Flim cargo building, and then over on the left side, there's a basement that we can discover. We're going to go down below there, and then we just have to run straight forward and through the door. Opening this up will take us into the detention block, and now we just have to run straight forward. There's going to be another very large door straight ahead of us, so let's go through here into machine part storage. When you go forward, then turn over toward the left side, there's going to be another door that takes you to subaquatic dock. Now that we go inside, we can run around to the right-hand side, and then we're going to take the path around to the right. So now that we're here, go forward, and then you're just going to run along the path. You'll notice that there is one enemy patrolling over on the side. You can actually talk to him if you want to and just have him bring you down to the Iron Throne, or you can just eliminate him and do it yourself. So I'm going to go that route just by sneaking around, and then I'm going to line myself up where I can do a sneak attack range on him, and that's going to begin combat. Very simple just to finish him off. He doesn't have that much health, it's 104, but because we get the surprise off the bat and we have an extra attack, we can do lots of damage to him. So here comes another sneak attack ranged with an automatic critical hit. Now I can follow that up with a normal ranged attack, and then that will be enough to finish him off very simply. So you can see the power of that extra attack now, and let's go forward. We're going to loot him. There's a couple good things that you can grab: the shield, the spear, the potion, the gold, everything you want to grab here, and then we're going to continue on by choosing to go into the hatch of the subaquatic vessel. So here's the submersible hatch. Let's open that up. It'll say, do you want to go down there? And we're going to say yes. We get a cutscene with Gortash. It's not very important though, so I'm going to skip through most of it and really just focus on the things that we can say here.
Aren't you the intrepid little adventurer, digging and diving where you don't belong? And I thought we were friends.
You shouldn't have got mixed up with a ball spawn. I'm going to sack you for all you're worth.
Ha! Are you now? Set foot within the Iron Throne and you will die, as will all of the hostages inside.
How many people are trapped within? How many lives will be lost?
Dock at the Iron Throne. We're still inside the submersible. As soon as we open up this metal hatch, then some bad stuff is going to happen. We'll basically be on a timer for only 5 turns, and we've got to rescue the hostages. When we get down here, we do get an inspiration point for Karlach called Outlander Down to the Depths Below, and that gives us 275 experience for her. The game auto-saved, but I'm going to make a manual save here as well, just because we want this to go well. When we're all ready, let's use the hatching at a cutscene.
Halt.
A cold, suckering wetness grasps at your mind. A voice, familiar to you from the Underdark, wraps itself around your brain.
You must act with haste. Duke Ravengard is held within these walls. He must be extracted.
Omeluum, is that you?
Normally I would find your people's lust for pleasantries amusing. Unfortunately, we have no time. There are many hostages here. Duke Ravengard, chief among them. He needs your help.
Tell me what to do.
Duke Ravengard is held in the security wing. Be careful. There are many hazards. This structure is collapsing. Act with speed. Act with efficiency. Good luck.
Alright, we have exactly 5 turns to get as many people out of here as possible, but the only one we really need to get is Duke Ravengard. We have a lot of ground to cover and unfortunately not a lot of time to do it, so it's always important to use something like dash, or if we have click heals, we're going to use that with the Dark Urge, and that will allow us to go really far on this first turn, giving us a good advantage. Let's start by heading down the ladder, and you'll see that there is an enemy in this area as well as some cells. We want to start heading over toward the east, and we're going to use the fly ability to get as far as we possibly can by not running into any obstacles or any difficult terrain here. We're just going to go right over top of all of that and get as far as we possibly can. I'm going to stay a little ways away from this guy just so he can't run over and attack me. I can use a sneak attack range to do some good damage against him starting off. And then, because I have the ability to do an extra attack, I'll use an extra ranged attack just to hit him and do some more damage. So he's not close enough that he can do anything to me on this next turn, but I made it quite a ways down that hallway. Now it's going to be Karlach's turn. She's going to go down the ladder, and there's going to be this enemy right over here, and I definitely want to take him out, so I'm going to use Frenzy, and that will allow me to knock him down onto the ground. We don't need to finish him off this turn, however. We just need to make it so that he won't attack us as we run past. So let's go ahead and hit him with our Enraged Throw. That guarantees that he falls prone, and now he can't attack us. He's also very low on health, so Gale will be able to finish him off when it's his turn. Now we're just going to run straight past him without attacking or anything, try to get as far as you possibly can. You may even want to use your ability to use your normal action to dash just to get as far as you can, but as long as you get about halfway down this hallway, you're going to be pretty good. If possible, go ahead and throw something or attack the enemies over here. If you can't hit them right now, that's okay though. You can just pass your turn over to Gale. Let's start by heading down the ladder, and he's going to actually rescue 2 groups of people as well as finish off this monster here. So we're just going to use a level 1 magic missile. Number 1, we're going to tag the Sahagin enemy, and then there's also these levers right next to the door. There's one right there, and then on the opposite side of the room, there's going to be another lever. Let's just tag those things, and we'll just throw the last magic missile into the enemy again. So that killed the enemy and also opened the different cells down here. So those hostages are going to be able to now run out on their turn and escape. Gale should also go over toward the east. He's going to follow the Dark Urge that direction because that's where Duke Ravengard is. I'm taking Will down. He doesn't have a whole big role here. He's mainly going to act as just a distraction, so I'm going to move him toward the south a little bit. There's a ton of enemies that will come running up from the south, and it's going to be Will's job just to give them something to focus on instead of trying to kill the hostages around here. Now it's the enemy's turn. This guy's going to dash forward, but because he dashed, he can't do anything to the Dark Urge. I got kind of lucky here. This Sahagin Hunter was not able to successfully net Karlach, and the damage that they do is very minimal. Now this guy's going to try to do a ranged attack, but because I'm a monk, I can not only stop the missile, but I can throw it right back at him. He does have a second attack though, but it only does 5 damage, so nothing that we have to worry about. Okay, now the other enemies are going to move forward, still trying to attack Karlach, but if they hit or miss, it doesn't really matter. It does very little damage to her. She can definitely take a couple shots from them. So Obelia Tubin is already out of the cell down here, so she's going to escape. They just have to run up into the submersible. Everyone who gets up there is considered to be rescued. Technically, you only need one of your party members to make it successfully back up into the submersible to succeed here, but that means that all the other party members who didn't get up there will die. Now it's the Dark Urge's turn, and I'm going to use Shrouded in Shadow. This is something that we can do because of the face mask that we're wearing, and that will turn us invisible, allowing us to sneak right past these guys and allow us to go all the way down toward the east, where we have to free Duke Ravengard. So I'm going to use Click Heels just to increase my movement speed. I get to run right past all of these guys, right to the end. I'm not going to open up the cell just yet, though, because then those Sahagins would be able to come out and to kill them. And I don't really want that because Duke Ravengard is very low on health. So I'm just going to end the turn, and then Karlach is going to get hit by the enemies. Not a big deal, though. The enemies by the Dark Urge don't know where we are, so they're just going to kind of run toward the middle of the area, but because they have to dash, then they aren't able to attack. Now, the one nearby with the bow, he is able to detect hidden presences, so he's just kind of looking around a bit, but can't find anything. So he's going to waste his turn doing that, and then just keep going on toward where he believes we might be. The other enemy by Karlach tries to net her, but it doesn't work either. No idea why the camera keeps flipping back and forth between characters here, but now it is actually Karlach's turn, and she needs to take out these two enemies in front of her. Luckily, we can do it with just 2 of the enraged throws, so I'm going to throw 1 at each of the enemies here. That will be enough to take out both of them. Alright, both enemies are eliminated. Now we just have to run past them down into the lower section here. You want to stay kind of in the middle of the area by where this kind of triangle looking thing is on the ground, and then we can shoot one of our range attacks over and hit the lever on the side. It's actually on the left side of the door. I was aiming at a valve there. Hit the lever on the left side of the door, and then that will open up that side. Then what you can do is to go a little bit over toward the right, and we're going to then shoot the lever on the right side as well. That was a very efficient use of Karlach's turn. She took out 2 enemies and opened both cells on that side. It's Gale's turn, but I don't want to attack this enemy just yet. Instead, I'm going to switch it over to Will so that he can use his Eldritch Blast just to try to eliminate as much of this guy's health as possible. Probably won't be able to kill him, but it is good enough to bring him down into range so that we will be able to pick up the kill with Gale with the magic missile. Now we're just going to move Will a little bit further on toward the south. Let's switch it back over to Gale, and like I said, we're going to finish off this enemy. He's very low on health, and his friend has almost full health, but that's okay. 1 level 5 magic missile will be more than enough to take them out. So I'll take the first enemy once, and then all the other ones go into the hunter in the back, and that will be enough to finish off both of those guys. Now we need to get down this hallway as fast as possible. The quickest way to do that is to use Misty Step. We're going to go as far as we possibly can toward the end of this hallway. So try to aim yourself as far down as possible, and when you're able to, then select that. You're going to Misty Step way down the hallway, and we still have almost all of our movement speed that we can use to run actually into the far room here. So let's go over here, and then that's going to be the end of our turn. It's going to be the turn for the NPCs to run around, and they're going to all make their escape as they run all the way up into the submersible if they're close. If not, they're going to start dashing and try to get up there as quick as possible.
Aye, a chance. Quick, let's get out of here.
After that, it's the enemy's turn, so there are lots of bubbles on the ground, and they will just keep spawning up new enemies for us, but luckily, we won't have to deal with too many of them. I would definitely recommend saving the game at this point, just because it's very important and things can go wrong. So let's go ahead and use our offhand range to open up the cell on the right side, and then we can use our normal ranged attack to attack the lever that controls the cell for Duke Ravengard. Now we just have to start booking it out of here. We want to leave as fast as possible. With the cells open, now we just have to start running back toward the submersible. It's the enemy's turn again, so let's just let them kind of cycle their way through as they dash forward and try to get closer to us. But they're not going to be much of a problem just yet. These two are going to dash up and get right next to where Will is, but because they dash, they can't do anything to him. Now it's going to be Karlach's turn. We have to hightail it out of here and get way back to the middle of the area. So we'll start off just by dashing, and then we're going to get as far down this hallway as possible. The haste helm that she's wearing comes in very handy here because it gives her additional movement speed. So we're actually able to jump over right next to where Will is, and then she can come over and assist him a little bit. Now there's a little bit of a problem here, and that is if I were to attack with her, it would do a lot of damage to Will. So instead I'm going to have Will just use his Eldritch Blast to try to push the enemies a little bit further away from him, just so that he won't take too much damage. I'm going to try for a flourish here. I missed this guy, and then I missed him again, so pretty useless attacks by Will. I'm going to run away just to provoke that attack of opportunity. Not a big deal, but I can counter that with a Hellish Rebuke and do a lot more damage to him than he did to me. Alright, now we're going to switch back to Karlach, and she'll be able to start attacking. We're just going to have her use her throws to try to damage the enemy here. It looks like I've got two enemies close to me. They're both a little bit low on health, so I should be able to finish them off pretty easily. These hallways are kind of awkward to throw weapons in. You get a lot of blocked paths when you try to throw items, so I'm just going to tuck myself into the corner here, hoping that I'm out of the way when I throw the Niralna again, hoping that I'm 6 meters away. I'm not, so I take a little bit of damage, but it's totally worth it to get that extra 320 experience. And now I'm just going to park Karlach kind of right in the middle here and wait for some more enemies to run up toward us. We are getting kind of low on turns now, so we do have to be a little bit careful with this. Okay, now I'm going to run Gale in as far as he can, kind of put him right in the middle of this room here, and this is a really good spot to keep him because it's going to be right where Duke Ravengard is going to end up being, and we're going to be able to use Dimension Door to get him out of here very quickly. So you'll see all of the NPCs are starting to run toward the ladder. It's very important that you clear the way for them, because if you're right in front of it, they won't be able to go around you and they're going to be stuck and they won't be able to be rescued. Also, if they stop right in front of the ladder, then you won't be able to climb it either. I've actually had characters die just because of that issue, so that's why it's good to make kind of a backup save in the middle of this just in case that happens. With Duke Ravengard, we get to control him. We're going to dash him forward up by Gale, and then go a little bit further to get a cutscene with Mizora.
Will, my pet, I was hoping you'd bound along. A bargain's a bargain, and I've come to see it through. Mia Furia. Kneel for me.
What are you doing?
Exactly what you asked for. Now, stand back and enjoy the show.
Mizora spawns in a lot of little combustible spiders, and they will try to blow up, and that will do a little bit of damage to Duke Ravengard. Now, we can't have too many of them explode or he will actually die. Now we only have 2 turns left. It's very crucial that we get back to the submersible, and we're running out of time to do it. But we should have enough if you start this section with 2 turns remaining. We're going to use the sneak attack range to take out one of the spiders over here. Doesn't really matter which one, so I'm just going to pop this one, and then that will be enough to kill him, and then I will turn invisible. So you can see the Dark Urge is now unable to be seen. I can then use click heals to get a lot more movement speed, and I'm going to take off running back toward the main entry of this area. If you can end this turn with 2 turns remaining, somewhere in this big circular area right by the ladder, you're going to be okay to get out of here. Now it's going to be the Sahagan's turn to just run forward. There's a lot of them, and they're going to keep bubbling up out of the water and just keep running forward. So be prepared to see a lot of this action of the enemies just running toward us. We're not going to have to take out all these enemies, but I really wish I had a couple more turns because these guys give 320 experience each, and they're very easy to take out. So while I wish I had a couple more turns to take out the enemies, unfortunately I kind of got to run and can only take out the ones that won't impede me from getting all the way to the ladder. I'll throw one weapon over here, and that's going to almost kill the Sahagan. He's only got about 4 health left. The other one is also nearby. I understand that I'm going to take a little bit of damage just as the AoE of the weapon will hurt me, but that's okay. I've got more than enough health, and as soon as I throw this one, it's going to kill him and his friend, and I get 640 experience, or 320 times 2, just for killing these 2 enemies. There are a few more down here, and I really wish that I could hit them, but again, fighting in these hallways is just really weird because it will block the throws. So I'm not quite able to do that. The path is interrupted. Instead, I'm just going to make sure that I get out of here as quickly as possible. So let's just start running back toward the ladder. Again, we are not going to block the ladder. You want to stay just outside of that inner ring there if possible. If you can't run all the way up the ladder and get well out of the way, then stay back so that the NPCs can get out of here. Now with Gale's turn, we're going to use Dimension Door. We're standing right next to Duke Ravengard, and that will actually allow us to teleport all the way back to the main room here. So you can see we've made it all the way over here, and that's the key to getting Duke Ravengard out when you've only got 2 turns remaining. Now, because I can't quite run all the way without blocking the path, I'm just going to Misty Step over to the base of the ladder. That will let me keep all my movement speed, and then when I'm over by the ladder, now I can climb up it and get out of the way. So we're going to actually climb all the way up and then go up into the submersible. Doing that gives us 500 experience for the party because we successfully completed this area. All the other characters could die and it would still be okay, but we don't want that. We do want to get out of here successfully. So now it's going to be Will's turn. I'm just going to dash and then send him up the ladder and then up into the submersible so that he's going to be safe. Once we're up here, you can actually tell them to go sit down in a chair. That's a nice feature just to get them out of the way so you don't have to worry about them. Here come the NPCs. They're going to start marching and running over up into the submersible. So sometimes they have enough movement speed to get all the way up. Sometimes they'll have to stop just short of it, but that's okay. They'll still have a following turn in order to get all the way up in there.
Just a little more to go. Come on!
Now we're controlling Duke Ravengard again. We definitely want to use the dash feature. He does not have a lot of movement speed, so you really need to dash if you're going to get him up here. So let's get him up, and then we're going to send him up into the submersible, and he'll have enough movement speed to go sit right next to Will in the chair. So he is now totally safe. We're good to go. The other enemies are going to start running up toward us, and luckily they can't do anything to us. These spiderlings do have a lot of movement speed, but luckily we tricked them because we killed an enemy with the Dark Urge. There's actually that ghostly image on the ground, so they're going to focus on that and not the rest of our party. So they won't know what to do. The other spiderlings will start running around, but they don't know where we are either, so we're definitely safe from their attack. Doesn't really matter though because Duke Ravengard is hiding already inside the submersible, but we did make it so that they aren't going to follow us in either. With the Dark Urge, we're just going to dash forward, and then we're going to climb up the ladder so that he's going to be safe. Let's just run him over and put him in that padded chair. And now all that's left is to get Karlach out of there. So the other Sahagans are going to start running up toward us, but again, they can't really do anything to us. We're going to be pretty safe here. All that's really left is to get Karlach back up into the Submersible, but before she does that, I want to give those Sahagins a parting gift. We're just going to throw another one of our Niralnas over here. We can just barely see one of the enemies right in the middle, so we can hit him. It doesn't quite kill him though, we do have to follow that up with another Enraged throw. So let's go ahead and do that, and then that will be enough to take him down, getting us another 320 experience points. I really wish that I could have hit another one of them back in here, but I just couldn't quite get the angle on it, and I didn't want to run forward just to not be able to get out of here. So that one's dead. Now we're going to be able to just use our normal dash to head on up the ladder. Once Karlach is safe inside the Submersible, then all we have to do is to skip through the rest of our characters' turns. There's nothing more that we have to do once they're up inside the Submersible, and then we're going to complete this sequence with a cutscene. Now, I should point out that we didn't do everything that's possible to do down in the Iron Throne. There's actually 3 NPCs that we were not able to rescue. On Tactician mode with only 5 turns, you're just really not going to be able to do that. You can actually see their locations on the mini-map over toward the south. There's also a tadpole you can grab, and the key to Vault 6 of the Counting House, which is Gortash's vault. It doesn't have a whole lot of good stuff in it. It does have another Mind Flayer Parasite specimen and some other little bit of loot, but it's definitely not worth doing, and certainly not worth losing a character over. So with that all done, then we do get a lot of appreciation from everyone, and here's the cutscene that ends the whole sequence.
Greets you upon exiting the Submersible. Unlike the Iron Throne, you remain intact. It seems most of the hostages from the throne share your fate. Duke Ravengard approaches you, looking confused.
He's tadpoled, but under my protection now, just like you. His mind is his own again.
Father?
Well, gods, it pains me to look at you. By Baldur's graces, why have the hells ordained you to save me?
Your tadpole resonates with Ravengard's. The exhausted Grand Duke is a flurry of emotion.
You can work out your issues later. Go to our camp. The Absolute can't reach you there.
By every last hell, son, are you all on my head?
Ravengard's head still aches so powerfully the pain seeps into you. The Absolute may be silenced, but the Duke's parasite still remains.
Please, I know you have questions, but for now, I need you safe. We'll talk soon enough.
Ravengard answers with silence. He and Will have much to discuss.
After those cutscenes, we went to go and talk to one of the people we rescued. It's Obelia Tubin, who is over just next to where the ladder is. So go over and have a chat with her.
I'll save you! Please, I can't thank you enough. I was certain that place was to be my cold, wet tomb. There were so many of us scattered through that place. To save so many it was brilliant. Just brilliant. We were kept hostage to control our families and the Steel Watch Foundry, to keep them building Gortash's death machines. Please, they need to know what happened here. They have no reason to obey Gortash anymore. If they rebel, it'll put a dent in Gortash's steel might.
Alright, I will help the Foundry workers rebel.
God smiles on me this day. Thank you.
All of our party members are currently split up, so let's just get them back together as one big group, and then we're going to head up the ladder and get out of here. We agreed to go help out at the Steel Watch Foundry, so let's go ahead and do that right now. Starting off, we're just going to fast travel over to the Lower City Central Wall waypoint. That's the closest one that we have available to us. Once we get here, our journal will update and will tell us that we've gathered a new ally. This is Duke Ravengard. He gives us 30 temporary hit points at the end of the game, so it's definitely worth it to save him from the Iron Throne just for that buff alone. Now what we're going to do is start heading over toward the west. We want to go to the Steelwatch Foundry. You have to start by running through the park here. This is called Bloomridge Park. Just follow the path around as we go toward the west. Keep running through, and then on the left side you're going to see a wall that's covered in these red plants with a gate in it. Let's turn toward the left and go through there, and then we just have to follow this path down and around toward the right. Now when you get to the bottom of this hill, you'll want to turn toward the right and then follow the road going up. And you're going to be heading toward the northwest now. You're going to come to a big plaza area that has a giant statue in the middle of it. When you get up to the statue, turn a little bit toward the left and go around the cart on your left-hand side. This will take you to a different street that's going to start heading down. So now we're going down toward the southwest. Just keep heading down this way. When you get to the bottom of the path, turn toward the left and run toward what looks like train tracks on the ground. When you get there, then go toward the right and keep running. The game will autosave, which is good because we have a fight coming up that has a very special condition associated to it. So now that we're here, turn and go down this ramp and then turn toward the right and go down toward the bottom of the other ramp. Be careful though, before you go all the way down, start to crouch and hide. We want to go forward because we want to attack these enemies and surprise them before they have the ability to launch into a cutscene. So I'm just going to attack the guy up here, Dart Dirkwood. It's going to hit him, and then it's also going to move Volo, who's in the cutscene, and tie him up on some explosive barrels over toward the south. So we want to try to take out these enemies as quickly as possible and also save Volo. So I'm just going to shoot over here with my guaranteed critical hit. I'll hit that enemy, and then I can use another ranged attack. I'll just attack another enemy over here, and then that will do lots of damage to them with those guaranteed critical hits. The enemies cannot move or act because they're surprised, and before I take really any action with Karlach, I want to move that guy on top of the crates there off into a better position so that her attacks will do better. I'm going to take Will and move him forward. His Eldritch Blast has the ability to push people away, so I'm going to shove him off those boxes and down below, so now he's in range of the AoEs from Karlach. So I'm going to move her up a little bit, and then she's going to frenzy so that we can get our enraged throw. That just gives us another 1 or 2 throws depending on what turn it is, and then she's going to throw the Niralna over here toward the enemy and just hit them, do lots of damage and also lots of AoE damage all around. So after that enraged throw is done, we're going to use our 2 normal throws, just spreading out the damage all around and hurting all of these enemies at the same time. That attack was enough to kill 2 of the enemies over there, and the rest of them are now under half health, so they're pretty easy for us to take out. We're going to use Gale to do that, but we're not going to do our normal magic missile routine. Instead, this time we're going to spice things up by casting a fireball over there. We're able to do lots of damage to all the enemies in a big circle, so let's go ahead and use that, and that will be enough to take out all 4 of those enemies at once. So now there's only 1 more enemy over here that we have to worry about. They're surprised, so they're not going to really do anything to us, but we have to rescue Volo before we take out that enemy, otherwise Volo is going to die, and that would be bad for us. So let's start by flying up here on top of this little shack, and then we're going to move forward a little bit, just so that we can get into range of shooting the chair out from underneath Volo. That will be enough to knock him down, and then when it's his turn, he's going to stand up and run out of the range of those explosive barrels. You've got to do this before the fight is over, or he's going to die, and that will cost us a buff at the end of the game. So make sure that you do it in the right order. But even though Volo has been freed from the chair, he still needs to have a turn to stand up and run away. If we kill this enemy too fast, then it's going to all be for nothing and he's going to die anyway. So instead of doing our normal throws and doing lots of damage, I'm just going to kind of pace myself here and hit him with some normal main hand attacks. And then we're going to have Will use his Eldritch Blast. It shouldn't be enough to kill him, especially because I only have a 30% chance to hit. So luckily I do some damage, but not all the damage that I needed to finish him off. Volo's going to stand up and start running away now, which is perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to have happen. And we can check on him to see, yep, he's definitely run far enough away from those explosive barrels. We should be good now to start taking this guy out. So I thought, you know, do I use a magic missile? Well, no, that kind of used up a spell slot. Let's use Ray of Frost instead, but unfortunately it missed. So I thought, okay, no problem. I can just have him use an offhand attack just to finish it off. But for some reason, the game kept kind of glitching here. It wouldn't let me actually run over and start attacking. I have enough movement speed. I can select it, but I'm just not able to run and do it. So sadly, I couldn't get the kill there with Call the Weak. I have to pass it over to them, and they're going to run over and hurt Will. Luckily, I can get revenge with a Hellish Rebuke, and that will end the fight. Now, just a few seconds later, you're going to see all of these explosive barrels go boom, and it's a good thing that Volo was able to escape and get away before that happened. Now we're just going to fly on over there, going over the fiery ground so we don't take any damage. We discover a waypoint over here. That's the Grey Harbor Docks waypoint, and we can talk to Volo. There aren't any dialogue options for us here. Volo just invites himself to our camp and then runs off. So that's all good. Now what we're going to do is follow him up, and we're going to go right outside of the Steelwatch Foundry gates. We don't want to take our whole team in there. In fact, we're not going to do any fighting at all when we go in there. We're going to start by saving the game and then separating the Dark Urge and Gale so that they will form a two-man infiltration squad. We're going to go in nice and quiet and get rid of this without any problems. So now that we have the Steel Watcher who walked away, we're able to fly up and over the gate. No reason to pickpocket it when you can just fly straight over it, and then that will take us over by the main gate. We do have to lockpick this one though. If you get close enough to it and crouch down, then the Steel Watcher just won't be able to see you here, so you're safe as long as you're right up close to the door. Now let's go ahead and lockpick it. It does have a skill check of 20, however, so it's a little bit difficult. Luckily, we just saved a moment to go, so we can roll it, and then we can open up this door here and then go inside. Just for walking in the door, we get 500 experience, which is really nice for us. It looked like Gale, for some reason, didn't follow us over here, so I'm just going to split him off of the party, and then I'm going to control Will or Karlach and just run them around here just so that they're out of the sight of that Steel Watcher going around, because things can get a little bit weird if they get spotted. Now controlling Gale, I am going to fly back over the gate. You have to be a little bit careful though with this Steel Watcher, because even if you fly right behind him, you'd think he wouldn't be able to see you, but he still can. So you'll see that he walks around, and then he is clearly not looking my direction, but I can still be seen by him, and then that will just send us back over on the other side of the gate. So we'll have to wait for just a few more seconds, letting him get further away, and then we can actually fly over there, and now we're fine to get across here without being seen. Now that Gale has caught up to the Dark Urge, I'm going to put them back together as a party, and then we're going to crouch down so that we're sneaking and then open up this door. We need to be very careful. We don't want to be seen going in here. So I would recommend maybe making another save real quick, and then we're going to cast Invisibility 2 that allows us to cast it on 2 different party members, and so we'll make both the Dark Urge and Gale invisible. We now have 10 turns or 60 real-life seconds of invisibility where we can just stand up and run past all these guys. We don't want to get into any fights or anything like that. We just want to sneak into the end to blow this place up and get our reward for it. So now we're going to run all the way to the back of this area, and then we're going to crouch down again and have the Dark Urge lockpick this door. You also could have Gale use Knock if you want to as a level 2 spell. That will open it up no problem, but a skill check of 15 isn't so bad for lockpicking this one. Now we're going to head on inside and then go over toward the right, following this red carpet around a little bit. There's going to be a staircase just past the red carpet, and then we want to get down here, and then we are going to reapply our invisibility with Gale just so that we're not spotted. So use another invisibility 3, and then we're going to be re-invisibled, and then go back down the stairs and open up the door into the Steelwatch Foundry. There's actually a fight going on down here, but we want no part in this, so we're just going to run around and try to get to the far north side of the room without being seen by any of these guys. So run past all of them and go over toward the north. And when you get to the far end, there's going to be some stairs leading up. Let's go up there, and then we're going to crouch down, once again hiding. This time, instead of trying to lockpick this door, which has a skill check of 30 to it, we'll just have Gale use the knock spell to open this up, and this will open up the door to the control center antechamber. So then let's go ahead and use that to get inside. We successfully avoided all the fights in the front part of the area. Now we're heading toward the back. So let's go forward. Before we open up this door, we're actually going to re-invisible ourselves again, just so that we are nice and fresh and unable to be seen. This time I'm going to use invisibility 4, just because I don't have any of the lower levels available to me. So now that we're both invisible again, we can just stand up and then open the door up into the control center. And we're going to just run straight ahead toward the back of this area. Fighting the enemies in this area will also spawn in another very powerful Titan enemy underneath these barrels with the chains up there, so avoid all of that, run to the back while you're invisible, and interact with the neural switchboard.
Neurosity awaits your input.
Focus on the center of the Neurosity, the perfect place for the rune powder bomb.
This will destroy the Foundry, wiping it from the face of the Forgotten Realms.
Carefully place the bomb. And then we get an action hero-like escape sequence. We then get a cutscene between Wulbren, the Gondians, and Barcus. We're going to side with Barcus. It's kind of a long cutscene. I'm going to skip through a lot of it and just kind of stick to the dialogue choices going forward.
I just wish to go home and hold my daughter.
What do you think, Wulbren?
I think that if a Gondian told me the sky was blue, I'd look outside and check.
Rogue Persuasion. There's no honor among thieves, Barcus, and same goes for the Iron Hands. Take Wulbren's place. Lead them yourself. We get a skill check looking for a 10. Let's go ahead and roll that and then finish this conversation.
I say you're right.
When we complete that, we get an inspiration point for the Dark Urge called Haunted One, a Massacre Beyond Imagining, with an additional 275 experience points. We get an inspiration point for Gale called Sage, a Foul and Awesome Display. That's 220 experience. We also get an inspiration point for Karlach called Outlander, Catastrophic Structural Failure, with 275 experience. We completed the quest, Disable the Steel Watch, which shuts off all the Steel Watchers across the city, including those guarding Gortash, and then also Will got an inspiration point called Folk Hero, in need of a hero, with 275 experience. Also, the entire party gained an additional 1,500 or so experience just for doing that. Finally, Barcus has joined us as an ally for the final battle. His ability lets us summon in 2 Iron Hands who will not only throw blinding bombs, but shoot smoke powder arrows. Let's take a quick inventory of the things that we've done in just this video to help us in the end of the game. The journal says the Gondians are on our side, but they don't actually provide a bonus to us, but we do have Barcus and Grand Duke Ravengard, and finally we added Volo, who gives us a +2 advantage to our attack and ability in saving throws. So that's all well and good. Just that final quest alone to defeat the Steelwatch Foundry got us over 3,500 experience, so we're doing great. I went back to camp just to let Ravengard be reconciled with Will and advance that a little bit more. I'm going to skip through most of all the cutscene here and just focus on what we have to say. The first choice is call on the parasite, connect with father and son. Ravengard should know the truth. Then say, it's the truth, Ravengard. Will has always been a faithful defender of Baldur's Gate.
My son, you sold your soul to save Baldur's Gate, and I cast you out for it.
They do a lot of talk about Ansur the dragon, but we've already listened to most of that stuff before, so I just skipped the rest of that, and now I can go talk to Will. Nothing important I have to say, I just wanted to clear out that little exclamation mark bubble above his head. And now I think we deserve a good long rest. We have to get all of Gale's spell slots back, so let's go over and choose to end the day, which will actually prompt a cutscene with Lae'zel and Vlaakith. Once again, we're going to skip most of the cutscene. We just want to encourage Lae'zel to stand your ground, don't fall for Vlaakith's lies. So once that's done, then we get a little update to the Githyanki warrior quest. We don't need to go talk to her or anything. We're just going to take a long rest with using supplies to get all those spell slots back. Now that we're all fully refreshed, that is where I'm going to end part 23. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. In the next part, we're going to be going down by Ansur the dragon. We're going to loot the area, but not necessarily kill him. And then we're going to take care of Gortash. I'm really focused on getting to the end of the game here and just doing the main stuff that we need to do, which provides us with the most benefit going forward. If you want to see me delve into some of the other things and show you the strategy for it, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know down in the comments. So we're going to stay laser focused for now and get to the end, and I hope to see you soon for part 24. Until then, thanks for watching and have a good day.